How to deal with fear. Hi, Gosia, sociologist and psychotherapist. How to deal with fears. We all have them, from the smallest to the biggest. They can paralyze our activities, they can paralyze us in achieving our dreams, but even can paralyze us in everyday functioning, whether it is relationships, or work activity, studying, being part of the community, being part of the larger system of our society, what others think, what if they don't accept me, or what if I fail, or just maybe that dream is too big for me. All type of, but also like very down-to-earth fears, like how I'm going to pay my bills, how what if I cannot have children, or like what if my partner will leave me. These are the fears that can have impact on all our decisions. So the personal fear can impact our work. What happens at our work can impact our family life. So how to deal with fears? First of all, it's good to realize that many of the fears are imaginary. So they come from our psyche. It comes from our head, basically. So we, based on our previous hurts and experiences, we kind of we create this kind of algorithm prediction, what's going to happen next. So if I was hurt in this and that, I might be hurt again. Or if I don't have a big developed well self-esteem, I might not have the same opportunities as others. This might be only my idea about myself. It's still in my head and it can drive my decisions. So whenever you have a fear, good to investigate how real this fear is, or the grounds for it, or beliefs behind it, because they might only be like a residue of our previous misunderstandings, hurts, failures even, but they happened in the past, they don't need to repeat. But if the fear is still real, what to do with it? If the financial difficulty is still there, how to deal with this? There is a technique called negative exposure, in which you can either put yourself consciously in a situation of what might really happen in the worst case scenario. And if you're afraid of being put on the spot, or maybe you don't like attention and this is what you're afraid of, just imagine yourself being around people, doing the thing you're afraid of, and investigate what happens inside you. So again, it can be either a real situation, you're inviting friends to sit around you and to perform whatever activity, whether it's, I don't know, singing and making a short speech, to try how that would feel in the real situation with the strangers. That is like a training to that type of situation, for you to develop necessary like internal emotional muscles to deal with that situation. If you don't want to bother your friends, you can still kind of visualize the situation you are most afraid of, and put yourself in it, and focus inwards. So focus what type of emotions it elicits, what type of emotions are appearing. And in the normal, like probably a life scenario, this type of emotions you would be avoiding or trying to avoid by all cost. But in that exercise, you might want to investigate it. You might want to go inside and feel it. feel it like, to the limits of acceptance, like to the limits of discomfort, and feel it, how that would feel if it was really a very intense moment for me. And the moment you will be able to connect with yourself and to investigate it inside you and to feel all of that, you will be much more prepared to face it in real life. And also you might even find sometimes that whatever you were afraid of, when you visualize that and you make it really intense, like really don't spare effort to make that visualization like as close to reality as possible, and even imagine different negative reactions around you, or like somebody criticizing me, oh, they don't like what I really done, and feel how it feels. Don't run away from it. Feel the intensity of that emotion and just think that it's like emotional gym. You're just right now develop the internal strength, internal power, muscles to deal with that situation when it happens in reality. That exercise is incredible because it develops a lot of internal power, because you realize that whatever fears you had, and they were kind of not investigated, they were something that did not happen yet. That's why it's so strong, because they scare you, from the future, and you don't know how big and intense it's going to be. When you do this exercise, you will know more or less how intense these feelings, the situation that you're most afraid of, it's likely to be. And that's why you are developing this stamina, this kind of focus, like, I will be fine because I know what I'm heading to. I actually know how it's going to feel like. So I'm like a warrior. I'm preparing for that encounter. And yeah, it might be still challenging, but I know what I'm up to at the moment. And the more you are going to do that type of visualization, the more you will be like training that muscle to face it in a real life. And then the things that you're afraid of might not be as scary when you really face it. So summarizing, there are many fears that are only in our head, only in our prediction of the reality based on our past. These are our assumptions that we are making and that are not necessarily real. So it's good to really take time to realize, is it something that is real, or it's something that I'm just afraid of as a potential version of reality? That can be very powerful, because we might realize that it's only a version of it and it doesn't need to happen. And the second thing is, you might be as close to your feeling when it comes to realizing the fear you might be facing in the future. And it can happen through like experiencing it right now. Yes, I feel I'm going to be really afraid of doing that. Where this feeling is right now in my body, where it stops me. Do I find it hard to breathe when I think about it? That's the one thing. And the other is like through the negative exposure. So you either put yourself into that situation as often as you can until you develop this internal muscle, or you can even imagine it, you can visualize it, and be as close to reality as possible in your imagination, in your potential scenario that you develop in that exercise, because that might prepare you to face whatever you want to face in the future. And it won't be as overwhelming, overpowering as before this exercise. Fears are challenges more on our internal level than external. And why? Because they kind of motivate us to face our own limitations and our own ghosts from the past, and stop living by them, to get this internal muscle of internal power based on who we are in real and not what we experienced in the past. By looking for this internal strength of I will be fine whatever happens, but I'm not going to back off that challenge. Make the life worth living.